Okay, what we do on the day is on a Sabbath day, you wake up. By the time you wake up, it's already Sabbath day. By the time you wake up in the morning, unless if you wake up before dawn, but the day begins at dawn before the sun comes up. So what you do when you wake up, you already wake up into the Sabbath. It's highly recommended that you prepare your food the night before. Prepare the things that you're going to eat. Choose food that you would not have to warm up before you eat, that you must not warm up before you eat them. So prepare things. Be strategic in what you prepare. You can cook. I noticed that things like beans, once you cook beans, you don't necessarily have to warm up the beans before you eat it. And if you cook beans the night before, that beans will still be good till the next night. Beans or rice or whatever. So it's important to prepare the things you need the night before. If you think you can wake up early and do it like around 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, if you want to eat hot food, you can do it around 3 or 4 in the morning and have those things prepared. So, and then also it's highly recommend that you take a bath before, wash yourself so you can be clean. Highly recommended that you clean your house, make sure the house is clean and everything. You wake up into the Sabbath. Then for you who happens to be in Europe, and it happens to be that, you know, I understand. It's like that for a lot of us are in different places. Okay, we have a sister in Korea. We have some of you in Europe. We're in different places. I think you are in Germany. The other sister is in Spain, and the other brother is in uh, the other part of Europe. We have two brothers in the other part of Europe, and we have brother Chibuzo that just asked a question right now. He's in Malaysia, and I think it's about what is it in your area right now, brother Chibuzo? Is it uh, 10, 11 p.m. at night or 12? So what's the time there now? So this is uh, almost 2 in the morning. T- Okay, okay, okay. So we have different times. We're all in different places. So the question is, what do you do? What does she do? What do you do during the day? Well, what you do is you could, when you wake up on a Sabbath day, you could do your own worship. Do your own, study, go through the scriptures, pray and do your own little thing. You, you could do that. Um, and then remember that Sabbath day is a rest day. So there's nothing wrong that you sleep most of the day. That's fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. So you could rest, you could sleep all day. And then when it's time for us to meet, you can then join us. You could do that. And when you do join us, you don't have to stay all the way because our times are different. So like the brother Chibuz right now who is in Malaysia, it's almost 2 in the morning. The other sister in Korea, it's about 1 in the morning or 12 some about so it's different times. So you can stay as much as you want. If you want to sleep all day and then be able to be awake to join in, that's up to you. So but number one thing for the Sabbath is your rest. Rest. So I don't want you to sit up and you're wondering, what am I going to do? No, you're not supposed to do anything. You are not supposed to do anything on the Sabbath. You're supposed to rest. We are commanded to do nothing. Like, do nothing. The only thing that you do is that you're told to go and worship. Go to a place, go and worship, like you see in Ezekiel 46. The place of worship is supposed to be open on the Sabbath and on the new moon. So, but the rest of 99% of the time is do nothing. So, yeah, you could wake up in the morning on a Sabbath day, wake up and maybe if you want to pray a little bit, you pray and then you go back to your bed and sleep all day. That's 100% fine. That's actually even better if you do that. So you can get adequate rest. Then, depending on the time that we meet, if you would like to join in, you can open your phone and join in. So Sabbath is to be set apart. You don't go to social media. No social media, no Facebook, because the point is for us to do things that we don't do in an other day. We're not supposed to come on a Sabbath day and be doing exactly the things that we do on other days. Then it's no longer a holy day. It's no longer set apart. So you have to do things differently. So I basically, if you're calling me right now, you're not going to get me on the phone. And after our meeting, I don't take phone call. I'm not going to take phone call. So I leave all the calls for tomorrow. So no phone call for today. No. Maybe with your family members, maybe your children or your parents, you could communicate with them. That's fine. Your family members, that's fine. Yah does give exception, like as you can see in Leviticus chapter 21. Leviticus 21. Okay? Our Heavenly Father don't want us to touch dead body. He doesn't want the priest to touch dead bodies. But he gave exception. Maybe for your daughter who is still a virgin. If she happens to die, you can touch her, you can for your relatives. So Yah gave us exception when it comes to our immediate relatives. So no phone call. I try to avoid social like Facebook on a Sabbath. Try to avoid Facebook, try to avoid those things. And sometimes after the Sabbath, when I go online to check my email or I begin to hear, oh, there was a shooting the other day, there was this, there was that, because I'm kind of I had no idea what was going on in the world, So after the Sabbath, I tend to, I put on my phone and then I begin to get, see messages, email and stuff like that and stuff, So, but definitely, considering the fact that you are where you are right now, and it's it, you don't have congregation to go to in the daytime, then just rest. I will also recommend Exodus chapter 16. Exodus 16. So I think that's the good answer to your question, so that you can see the things I was already telling you. You can see in Exodus chapter 16. So in Exodus chapter 16 from verse 16, you see our ancestors, our Heavenly Father told them to stay home. They were told to stay home on the Sabbath day. Exodus chapter 16, to stay home and rest, stay in their tent. Somebody's mic is on. Okay, yeah, well, it seems like you're talking to somebody and it's kind of, okay. All right, Exodus chapter 16, that's the answer to your question. If you look at Exodus chapter 16, so our Heavenly Father told our ancestors, because at this time they had no tabernacle. So you and I are right now in the same situation that they were in. They had no place of worship at that time. So what did our Heavenly Father ask them to do? Let's find out. Exodus chapter 16. So that's what we have to go back and do now, because we don't have a place of worship like they eventually they got a place of worship. But when they didn't have one, our Heavenly Father told them to do this. Exodus chapter 16 from verse 16. Exodus chapter 16 from verse 16. Exodus chapter 16 from verse 16. These are Yah's instructions. Each household should gather as much as it needs. Pick up 2 quarts for each person in your tent, or in your house in this case. Verse 17. So the people of Israel did as Yah The people of Israel did as Yah told them, or they were told. Some gathered a lot, some only a little. Verse 18, but when they measured it out, everyone had enough, had just enough. Those who gathered a lot had nothing left over, and those who gathered only a little had enough. Each family had just what it needed. Talking about the food, the manna for the Sabbath. Okay, verse 19. Verse 19, Exodus 16:19. Exodus 16:19. Then Moshe or Moses told them, "Do not keep any of it until morning." But some of them didn't listen and kept some until morning. But by then it was full of maggots and had a terrible smell. Moshe was angry with them. Moshe was angry with them. Verse 21. Verse 21. After this, the people gathered the food morning by morning, each family according to its need. And as the sun became hot, the flakes they had not picked up melted and disappeared. Verse 22. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much as usual, 4 quarts for each person, and each person instead of 2. Then all the leaders of the community came and asked Moshe for an explanation. Verse 23. Exodus 16:23. He told them, "This is what Yah had commanded. Tomorrow will be a day of complete rest, a holy Sabbath set apart for Yah. So bake and boil as much as you want today, and set aside what is left for tomorrow." So they put some aside until morning, just as Moses had commanded. Notice that they were told to put aside for tomorrow. When did they do that? Morning. For tomorrow. You see, whenever it says tomorrow, do this tomorrow, do this, it always starts with morning. Verse 24. So they put some aside until morning, just as Moses had commanded. And in the morning, the leftover food was wholesome and good, without maggot or odor. Verse 25. Moshe said, "Eat this food today, for today is Sabbath." It's a Sabbath day dedicated to Yah. There will be no food on the ground today. You may gather the food for 6 days, but the 7th day is the Sabbath. There will be no food on the ground that day. So notice that the Sabbath began here on the, like you can see in verse 25. Verse 25, Moshe or Moses said to them, "Eat this food today." That was in the morning. Remember, in verse 24, they put some aside, and in verse 24, began as morning. They put some aside, verse 24. So they put some aside until morning. So it was that day, that morning. It was on that morning. It was on that morning, as you can clearly see here. I'm trying to show you something. I'm just trying for you to see something. So verse 24 talked about they put some aside until morning. And it was then on that same day, as you can see in verse 25, that Moshe said to them, "Eat this food today, for today is a Sabbath day dedicated to Yah. There will be no food on the ground today." So that Sabbath began from morning, from dawn, not in the evening. This would have been happening in the evening time if the Sabbath began from evening to evening, but it began from morning. So verse 26, "You may gather the food for 6 days, but the 7th day is the Sabbath. There will be no food on the ground that day." Verse 27, Some of the people went out anyway on the seventh day, but they found no food. Verse 28, Yah asked Moshe, how long will these people refuse to obey my command and instructions? Verse 29, they must realize that the Sabbath is Yah's gift to you. That is why he gives you a 2-day supply on the 6th day. So there will be enough for 2 days. On the Sabbath day, you must each stay in your place. Do not go out to pick up food on the ground. Verse 30, so the people did not gather any food on the 7th day. Verse 31, the Israelite called the food manna, and it was like wild coriander seed, and it tasted like honey wafers. So the reason why I brought you to this chapter is because of what our Heavenly Father said in verse 29. From verse 29, they must realize that the Sabbath is Yah's gift to them. That is why he gives you a 2-day supply on the 6th day. So there will be enough for 2 days. On the Sabbath, you must each stay in your place. Do not go out to pick up. But that's exactly what we're doing today. We're going out today to go walk, to go look for food and walk and serve our enemies for food. So on the Sabbath day, because as you can see here, the Most High told them to stay in their tent. That will be your house, our house, your house, your place. That's your tent right now. So on that day, we don't have a place of worship, so you stay there. If you do have a congregation in your neighborhood, in your village, in your city, that you can go and worship with, then you go and worship with them. That's but if you don't have that, then you have to resort back to the way your ancestors did it. And as you can see from Exodus chapter 16, from verse 16 to 31, Exodus chapter 16, you can clearly see that our Heavenly Father told them, stay home. I remember years ago, sometimes I will be indoor for 3 days. I'll be indoor. So this is usually at the end of the month, towards the end of the month, I will make sure that I have food, water, I have everything I need, and I will be indoor on the Sabbath. I'll be indoor on the new moon. If it's 2 days new moon, I'll be indoor, So yeah, sometimes for the Sabbath and on the new moon day too. It's been a while. So, but in the beginning, I would just simply stay home, and I would simply just, I just rest and just be inside. So, that's what we do on the Sabbath. So, being that you don't have a place of worship, you just have to do that right now. Just wake up on the Sabbath, of course, thank our Heavenly Father for everything, however you want to thank Him. And then you can climb back on your bed and sleep. Or you can also study. I got a call coming in right now, but I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to find out until tomorrow who was just calling me. Somebody was calling me because I'm using my phone for Skype. But I won't find out until tomorrow. And then if I'm going to call them back, it will have to be tomorrow. So because I want to set today apart. I want to keep this day, make it different from other days. That's why I have this, and we're only on the Sabbath. I don't want to repeat, it's not okay to be doing the things that we do on a regular day on a Sabbath. We're supposed to keep the Sabbath day holy. So, and just rest on that day and sleep. If you would like to join us when you can sleep all day. Oh, yeah, like as I was going to say before the phone call came in. One of the things you can do on the Sabbath is that you can also take time to go through these books that you haven't read before, like the book of Jubilees. You can read the book of Jubilees. It has 50 chapters. I'm telling you that those books will really improve your spiritual life because you're going to understand your maker in a different way when you read those books, like the book of Jubilees. And I highly recommend the book of Sirach. The book of Sirach is like a manual, like a guide for lawkeepers. If you are someone that loves keeping the law, you have to be reading the book of Sirach, because the book of Sirach will teach you. That book is so, it will teach you things. It even teaches you how to eat in public. What other book teaches you that? How to eat, how to chew your food in public. That's the kind of knowledge you will get in the book of Sirach. So even if you don't have it, you can Google it. Go to Google and type in Sirach. That book is also known as Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus. So I highly recommend these books. You could read them on the Sabbath. They will teach you a lot. They will teach you how to deal with people, how to make friends, how to deal with friends, how to raise your children, how to raise a girl, how to deal with people. So that you can do. You could, you could eat. Sabbath day is also a time to eat. So no fasting on the Sabbath. No fasting on the Sabbath. You cannot fast on the Sabbath. The Most High told us not to fast on the Sabbath. You have to eat on the Sabbath. So there are three major things to do on the Sabbath: worship, sleep, eat. Sometimes I do that repeatedly, round. Like sometimes that's what that's basically, you worship, you study, you eat, so that's fine. Resting is very important, but you can also take time to study these books, like the book of Jubilee, the book of Sirach. I highly recommend those books, and your knowledge and your understanding of Yah will improve if you begin to study those books, the Apocrypha. Like the book of Tobit, only 14 chapters. You could do that one on a Sabbath day. So that's what you can do in the mornings before it's time to join us. If you are able to join us, you can join us. If you do sleep in the daytime, I think you will be able to be up to join us. Like our brother in Malaysia right now, it's more than 2 in the morning, but he's able to join in. So if you do rest on the daytime on the Sabbath, you will be able to be up to join us. But when you do join us, you can always, if you start feeling sleepy and you want to go, that's fine. That's okay. As long as. So I keep getting that phone call. I have no idea who is calling me. And they just kept calling and they kept calling. So I had no idea who is calling, but again, I'll find out tomorrow. So yeah, that's what you do on the Sabbath. And like I was saying before they interrupted me with the call. Oh. I don't know, it's saying that I'm on hold. I'm on hold. Can you hear me? Okay, we seems to be having I don't know if you can hear me, but I was getting a phone call that was coming in, and that phone call was okay, I apologize. I'm really sorry. Somebody was calling me and it ended up putting me on hold. I don't think you were hearing me. because of that phone call. So sorry about that. Um, so I don't know who was calling. The number kind of looked familiar. I'm not really sure, but I think I may recognize. I don't know, but I'll find out tomorrow. So just rest on that day. Rest during the daytime. Sleep. Eat your food. Study the Apocrypha. Listen to audio Bible, but try to get enough rest. Okay, try to get enough rest. Try to get enough rest on the Sabbath day. You're not supposed to stress on the Sabbath. You're supposed to relax and just have, peaceful day, worship Yah on the Sabbath day. So try to do that, and that's what you do when it's.